who is able to bring restoration, who is able to bring strength. Don't look at your situation. Look at what God can do, because God is raising us and he's setting us above. May God minister hope in your life. May God minister peace in your life, because our God is so faithful and he comes at the right time. It is my prayer that God will reach us at our points of need, bringing hope, because our trust is in him. I want us to pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we come before you this time. We know we are in a difficult moment, but it is our hope that, King of all glory, we shall call on your name, and when we call on your name, you will be able to hear us. May you hear my viewer. May you walk with them during this time of coronavirus, oh God. May you bring healing. May you bring restoration. Heal our economy, heal our people, heal our families, and may you guide us through. I worship you. I exalt you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen and amen.
I wonder where Dharma is hiding with her son. I have looked for her everywhere. What if she has not left Patliputra? Then what will happen?
The more Ashok will grow in stature for your father. And who knows, someday he will grow so big in stature that he is going to topple you. And that will be your end.
Hey! Shut up!
Tonight on Corner.
What do you want?
Why so unfriendly?
You stole my show.
A tournament is a tournament.
Inanibamba.
Stop.
Zi. Najua na enjoy kwa sababu unanidai.
Kwani umechizi? I've not lost my mind. But I've lost my husband.
Don't play that victim.
I'll play whatever I want to play.
On the next episode.
How about Wana?
Of course. Juana. Nobody who loves our daughters as much as she does. And she's a very honest woman. Let's put Juana down as the beneficiary.
So that's what's going on. I have to figure out a way to get to that computer.
What are you doing, Sophia?
In love with Ramon.
The date for the FA Cup final is set, and so are we, as Arsenal and Chelsea face off again on the 1st of August at Wembley. The All London affair will be broadcast live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1 this Saturday from 7:30 p.m.
Cesar Azpilicueta again for Giroud. Oh, and it's found a way through.
Heads up. It is a showdown worth your wait.
Good morning, I'm Regina. Manyara, now no lockdown, curfew extended for another 30 days, as well as no sale of alcoholic drinks at eateries and restaurants. Eateries to close at 7 p.m. while bars to remain closed part of President Uhuru Kenyatta's speech that has got tongues wagging on main media and also social media. What are your reactions in regard to President Kenyatta's address? We'll be seeking your views during this course of this particular broadcast. Good morning once again, and glad to have you on board. We're going to be looking at stories that have made headlines in the last 24 hours, including that 440 more Kenyans have tested positive for COVID-19. Further on, we're going to be looking at the ripple effect that COVID-19 has had in terms of business as well as affecting the sporting arena. So do keep it right here, and good morning once again. It is the 28th of July 2020.
Well, good morning to you, and as usual, thank you for choosing Good Morning Kenya this Tuesday morning to inform you and set your pace this morning. On our roads, we will look at what will be happening along Jogoo Road again, one of those roads that branches off from Outer Ring Highway, and this is just because it is one of those busy roads. So just like yesterday when we were focusing on Juja Road in terms of recent activities, there hasn't been any, and that is in regards to road reconstruction or even bridges and any kind of reconstruction that we may expect on the roads. So this morning, our focus will just be purely on traffic flow, especially on that route, given the kind of numerous estates along that specific route that normally leads to heavy snarl-up in the early morning hours. So what that ultimately means is that I will also be looking out for some alternative routes for those that ply that specific route, going about their businesses as well as work in this morning. In addition to that, I will also be speaking to a surgeon this morning to talk to us about general surgeries and how patients can manage themselves in terms of just, healing process after a surgery. And also, in the wake of COVID-19, it has brought about fear to many patients who could have had a scheduled surgery or even just going about checkups in the hospital. So how best can patients be talked to just remove and reduce fear and for them to go on any scheduled surgery or even any kind of checkup? That is what Dr. Brian will be talking to us this morning when it comes to matters general surgery. Many thanks for making time. My name is Doreen Arange.
In the headlines begins right about now with just a sweep of what has captured the front page of the daily issues of the newspaper, starting off with the Daily Nation. The front page, Raila to the rescue as Uhuru reins in troops. Now, unlocking the stalemate, this is a move by ODM chief and Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka gives hope of a solution as senators vote on revenue sharing formula today. Key issues is option 1. CRA proposes that puts emphasis on population versus an amended version in which counties get what they were allocated in the fiscal year 2018-2019. Second, fence-sitter Deputy President William Ruto calls for a win-win situation but refuses to state whether or not he backs the formula. Third, BBI Jubilee whip Irungo Kangata had caused a storm in the Uhuru-Raila alliance when he pegged success or failure of the BBI on the pressing of the bill. Fourth, winners and losers, 28 counties, mostly from the central, western and Rift Valley to gain, as 19 others from the coastal region, eastern and northeastern region of Kenya lose out. Further on, no more beer with your chips. Consequences unhappy with the casual manner majority of Kenyans have taken towards the fight against COVID-19, head of state tightens measures to stem the spread. The curfew is going to be going on for the next 30 days, 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. night curfew. All bars remain closed. Eateries and restaurants will no longer sell alcohol and are also set to close at 7 p.m. Gatherings, police and government officials to strictly enforce Ministry of Health protocols on public gatherings, especially during funerals. Inside plan to reopen schools and colleges. This has been captured on the back page of the Daily Nation, where Uhuru orders Magoha to convene a schools meeting. Now, President wants stakeholders to come up with a roadmap and official reopening dates. Remember that, primary and secondary schools have been closed until 2021. More specific dates required there, directed by President Uhuru Kenyatta in his speech. Focusing on the front page of the Star this morning, there, revenue tussle, Raila and Uhuru seal formula deal. Senators opt to adopt a method proposed by CRA, drop divisive action point. That is what we have captured on the front page of the Star this morning. Then further down there, sibling rivalry intensifies in NASA as NARC tells of Kalonzo. Matters of succession politics of 2022 also captured there on the front page of the Star. Focus on school has also been given by this particular issue of the Star this morning, is that no maintenance cash. Schools will be in uninhabitable come January. This is according to the Kenya Secondary Schools Heads Association. Further on, a great mobilizer. This is somewhat PCA moderator Peter Kanier, who died of COVID-19, eulogized, and just looking at his achievements here and there. That's the front page of the Star. The back page has been given to the sports edition, or rather more emphasis has been given to sports on the back page of the Star this morning. Football, I believe at some point he will return to the club, says Polak. That is in as far as international sports is concerned. Odhiambo exists, that is Kogalo head coach, unfazed by the departure of goalkeeper. Now this, I don't know what that portends for my team, they're the Green Army, but how we will soldier on. More details, we will be capturing, or rather just getting to more details as we get into the thick of things in as far as in the headlines is concerned. So do keep it right here for more details in regard to those stories that we have highlighted for you.
And keeping up with the overview of our papers this morning on the front page of the Standard, still the revenue sharing formula dominating our papers this Tuesday morning. The epic failure, that is the main head on the Standard this Tuesday, and just says that county billions stalemate, where Senate teeters on brink of another epic fail on county revenue sharing formula. This men, in their own special ways, hold key to resolving impasse, but have not hacked it. In the meantime, counties are starved of cash to run essential services, and part of these essential services just include what is supposed to, at least what counties are supposed to get, at least to manage the COVID-19 pandemic, given the fact that a good number of health workers are still complaining of the issue of lack of protective equipment, and even some in some other parts of the county just saying that training has not been done as it's supposed to be. Still on the front page of the same paper, Uhuru strikes at bars and leaders behaving badly. This is just part of what came out on his speech yesterday, saying that amid rising cases, Uhuru spares Kenyans another lockdown, but outlaws sale of alcohol and in eateries and extend closure of bars. Also, this story has been fleshed out on page 6 and 8 inside the paper. We'll be unpacking more of that when we get there. Again, on the sidebar of the paper, joy as a nurse with COVID-19 delivers baby. Still talking about matters COVID-19 and the adverse effect, but looks like a positive story there, because the nurse with COVID-19 has managed to deliver a baby, and the baby is safe and sound as per what goes by that article. So that is what we have on the front page of the Standard this Tuesday morning.
Now let's start off on the front page and focus on the issue of revenue sharing. And it seems that they have moved by ODM chief and Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has given hope of a solution as senators vote on revenue sharing formula today. On a different header is that Raila and Uhuru seal formula deal. You get more details in regard to that. Is that some of the top gainers are going to be under this under the CRA is Nandi County, that is going to receive 788 million, while Uasin Gishu County is going to receive 923 million. Nakuru County is going to receive 744 million, while Kiambu is set to receive 1.3 billion, and Kakamega 402 million shillings. Top gainers, some of the top gainers of the revenue issue that we expect, that's going to be taken to a vote today in the Senate. Some of the top losers include Tana River, that is going to receive 499 million, while Garissa is going to get 484 million, Mandera 2.2 billion actually, Marsabit 984 million, while Wajir is going to receive 1.4 billion shillings. And remember, the monies at stake there is 316.5 billion that is expected to be shared among the counties. Now, with the revenue formula, it focuses more on the population and not the proposed CRA. Puts emphasis on the population versus the amended version, in which counties get what they were allocated in the fiscal year 2018-2019. There's been a lot of debate as to what turn this vote is going to take, given that we've seen, or rather supposedly, Deputy President William Ruto is looking like a fence-sitter here, and he has refused to state whether or not he backs the formula, saying that he just calls for a win-win situation. On the other hand, there was a debate in that the direction that this vote is going to take at the Senate might influence how smoothly the BBI bill will be passing. That is according to Jubilee Whip Irungu Kang'ata, who caused, or rather started a storm in actually saying that, that, you know, if this, depending on this, the way the CRA is going to be voted, is pegged success or failure of the BBI on the passing of the bill. Further on, we've just highlighted some of the winners and losers. In total, 28 counties, mostly from Central, Western, and Rift Valley, are to gain, while 19 counties, largely drawn from the coastal region, Eastern, and Northern Kenya, will lose out if indeed this particular revenue sharing formula passes. And that vote is going to, they're going to be taking a vote. Senators are going to be taking a vote today. We will be keeping tabs on that.
Well, and still in line with that, state
the divisive formula for revenue sharing amongst counties, whose contents has divided the House, delaying the release of funds to the counties. The revenue sharing stalemate has also threatened the Building Bridges initiative that seeks to unite the country and address past injustices, with players in the efforts appearing to be pulling in different directions. And in what appears to be an attempt to salvage the situation, ODM leader Raila Odinga has called on the Senate to adopt the proposed formula and have the country move forward. In a statement, Raila acknowledges the Commission of Revenue Allocation as the constitutional body mandated to develop the formula for revenue sharing.
Raila is trying to play politics.
Correct.
He is trying to play safe.
Correct.
He knows he does not want his people to support the committee's report.
Correct.
And the best way for him now to come out, because he has seen that this has put a strain on his handshake and purported cooperation with the Jubilee Party. So he's now brought a strange formula that has not been brought to the floor of the House, talking about that in the direction to go. I can tell you for a fact, for Nakuru, we have been losing about almost 500 million if I went with the CRA formula. So I'll tell you for a fact, there is no way I'm going to support that.
Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala saying Senate will not shoot down the new revenue allocation formula, which pegs the distribution on population.
Weka kamba kwa shingo yetu tuambie ati usipopitisha BBI, usipopitisha hii formula, BBI itaanguka. Nataka kukuambia wewe Kang'ata ya kwamba wewe ndio unahitaji BBI kuliko hata sisi.
Senate Majority Whip Irungu Kang'ata Monday convening a meeting of Jubilee senators supporting the new formula in a bid to strategize on how to counter those opposed to the proposed formula on Tuesday.
Because we intend to move that motion tomorrow to determine the third basis for county revenue sharing amongst counties. So we are continuing with our discussions. We hope to come up with a good formula, with a consensus, so that tomorrow we do not have an acrimonious vote.
And we want people to be given money. We don't want landmass or any other measurement. Pesa ipeani kwa forest ama kwa nini? Pesa ipewe kwa wananchi. That is what we are just, and we want to correct an injustice that most populous counties that have suffered this injustice must be corrected.
But as senators from populous counties push for higher share, senators from marginalized areas have vowed to oppose any attempt to reduce the amount of monies received by counties they represent.
COVID is already affecting people a lot negatively, and we are saying this is not the right time to apply this. So there is need for more consultation. The easiest and the best thing that we can do as leaders is to continue with the formula that we had.
Tukipitisha ile formula ambayo imepewana saizi ya kwamba magatuzi mengine yatapata pesa zaidi ya mengine, kuna kama Marsabit wanapoteza zaidi ya 1.8 billion. Kusemolo ukweli tutakuwa tumezulumu hawa watu. Kwa hivyo nasema tusingoje tena, tuje kesho tupitishe tutumie ile formula ya zamani.
Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
By the end of the day, we'll know which turn, or rather what carries the day in as far as the revenue sharing formula is concerned. Senators are expected to vote today, and we will know the verdict. Now, crossing over to stories that are still making headlines. No more beer with meals in tough new rules on food joints. Now, from his body language, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and facial expressions, the president did not hide his displeasure with the casual manner in which a majority of Kenyans had taken towards the COVID-19 fight, calling out the political class and asking police to deal firmly with those breaking the law. Consequently, the nationwide 9 p.m., 4 a.m. Night curfew has been extended for another 30 days as the government seeks to curb the spread of the deadly coronavirus. Yesterday, 440 people tested positive for COVID-19, bringing the total caseload of Kenya to actually 18,000. Now, bars and eateries, bars shall remain closed until further notice, while restaurants and eateries will no longer sell alcohol and are also set to close at 7 p.m. Further on, the police and government officials to strictly enforce Ministry of Health protocols in public gatherings, especially during funerals.
Well, and still keeping up with the issue of bars, and just what the president mentioned yesterday, not in bars or at home. Where do you see pure beer? That is the main caption there. Just saying that the sections in supermarkets where alcohol is stocked have been experiencing heavy traffic over the last few months. Trolleys heaped with alcoholic beverages as people try to make their way to the counter before curfew is a sight that has become too familiar. In estates, the stores that stock liquor have been making a killing from thirsty throats seeking their daily fix. And ever since the government closed bars to curb COVID spread, many people have resorted to getting takeaway alcohol and consuming it at home. Now, there's also a bite from a social media influencer here just saying that they cannot be controlling what people are drinking in the safety of their homes. Will they be knocking on doors to ensure that we are drinking? That is what he is saying there. But remember that, again, just bars have been closed. But even at that, at least it was a reprieve when it came to the issue of lockdown, which is again what Kenyans thought. Actually, Kenyans thought that probably the president would lock the three most affected counties when it came to COVID spread, but that didn't happen. So just header saying that Kenyans spared lockdown as bars, eateries hit harder. So these two sectors have been the one hit hard, and this just came from the president's speech yesterday, saying that Kenyans have been spared a lockdown as President Kenyatta extended the current containment measures with minimal adjustments amid increasing COVID-19 cases. The president, in his address yesterday, while extending the 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. curfew for another 30 days, reduced the closing time for eateries and restaurants to 7 p.m. and this is for another 30 days. Now, just saying that on his July 6th address, where he lifted the lockdown order for Nairobi, Mombasa and Mandera, which had been the three most affected counties therein, he had extended curfew for 30 days and allowed opening of eateries. But now, just allowing this opening of eateries, it allowed the sale of alcohol, which the president yesterday said, and he blamed this as the foremost agent in the spread of the disease. And now, ultimately, again, this is just probably why bars have been closed. But even keeping up with the numbers, as of now, they have tested a total of 279,612 persons since the first case was announced in the country.
Now, furthermore, President Uhuru Kenyatta has further directed that the Inspector General of Police to enforce a permanent withdrawal of licenses for bars operating in breach of the directives issued by the government to contain the spread of COVID-19. Safin Achieng Oma reports.
Revelers in some entertainment joints have continued to flirt with the deadly coronavirus, going about their drinking sprees, oblivious of the trajectory of the COVID-19 curve in the country, which continues to depict a sharp rise. As the positive cases surpassed the 17,950 mark, President Uhuru Kenyatta would chide the reckless behavior being exhibited at alcohol-selling joints in the country, terming them as high-risk areas for the spread of COVID-19. in his address on the state of the coronavirus in the country, which came moments after he co-chaired the 5th extraordinary session of the National and County Governments Coordinating Summit, the President also raised concern over the number of young people who are increasingly testing positive for the deadly virus.
My and our meeting's greatest concern at this moment is the aggressive surge of infections among young Kenyans who are in turn, unfortunately, affecting their elders. Contact tracing of the recent surge of infections indicates that our socializing without regard to protective behavior, particularly in an environment serving alcohol, is becoming one of the greatest risk factors in our country.
The country will now have to sober up after the tough-talking head of state imposed a directive stopping the sale of alcohol and beverages in all eateries and restaurants in Kenya for the next 30 days.
There shall be no sale of alcoholic beverages or drinks in eateries and restaurants across the territory of the Republic of Kenya, effective midnight today for the next 30 days.
The current directive on the closure of bars will also continue until further notice, with closing time for restaurants having been adjusted to 7 p.m. from the initial 8 p.m.
The closing time for restaurants and eateries has been amended from 8 p.m. to 7 p.m. starting today at midnight for the next 30 days.
It will also not be business as usual for any alcohol selling joint, which will float the guidelines issued to contain the spread of COVID-19, with the President directing the Inspector General of Police to ensure a permanent withdrawal of their operating licenses.
The Inspector General of the National Police Service shall cause withdrawal of all licenses for bars operating in breach of this directive, and those withdrawals shall be permanent.
This coming even as a number of legislators have been found in drinking dens past curfew hours, while others use their influence to attempt to defy COVID-19 precautionary measures. The COVID-19 precautionary guidelines, according to the President, will apply to everyone, and no one found flouting them will be spared, regardless of their stature in the society.
Forthwith, the Inspector General of Police shall ensure that his officers spare no muheshimiwa, no individual, irregardless of social status or rank, who is either out after curfew without being an essential worker, or who flaunts the health protocols that have been set out.
44 out of 47 counties have recorded positive cases of COVID-19, with the country's capital, Nairobi, among the hotspot counties. For Channel 1 News, I'm Safin Aching Oma.
On the domino effect of COVID-19 and how it has affected the school curriculum, or rather the education curriculum, and even the operations of the education sector. Yesterday, that was captured in the president's speech, where schools will be in. And before even we look at the speech, is that now the Kenya Secondary Schools Heads Association is warning that schools will be inhabitable when learning resumes. Now, the association said failure by government to release the capitation funds, the schools had been forced to send away all the supporting staff. Now, Keshe Nakuru County Chair Frederick Mbuthia said the challenges facing the schools were rising by the day, and he noted that over 10,000 Board of Management teachers and supporting staff had not been paid, and further worsening the situation. That is what is currently, that is a take of the Kenya Secondary Schools Head Association. The schools will be inhabitable when they reopen. But the question is, there's been a lot of uncertainty just as to when the reopening dates are. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta did order Magoha to convene a stakeholders meeting. And quoted there is that, I want to clear the doubt and fear that parents have been having concerning our children and when schools, colleges and universities will reopen. Quoted there is President Uhuru Kenyatta in his yesterday's speech. He said that the stakeholders meeting will be called within a few days' time, and official dates for schools and higher institutions, learning institutions to reopen will be given. Universities and colleges were scheduled to reopen in September. However, some institutions, such as the University of Nairobi, have said they'll not be able to reopen as scheduled. Here's a report, a detailed report with the sounds and pictures from that particular speech as delivered by President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday by Caroline Kamau.
Uncertainties over the resumption or lack thereof of the school calendar after its disruption in March as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic has remained rife, despite the government announcing that basic education will resume in January next year. President Uhuru Kenyatta saying Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha will soon be meeting stakeholders with a view of addressing existing uncertainties.
Tunataka kuondoa ile doubt ambaye iko haswa kwa watoto wetu na tarehe za kufungua mashule yetu au vyuo vyetu vya masomo mbalimbali. Na tumekubaliana kwa mkutano wetu leo ya kwamba waziri wa elimu Profesa Magoha ataita mkutano wa washikadau wote wa elimu baada ya siku chache, na wakishamaliza mkutano wao na mashauriano yao wataitana waweze kupatia wazazi, waweze kupatia wanafunzi na watoto wetu wote vile tutaendelea na mambo ya elimu tukisonga mbele.
The Ministry of Education had earlier this month announced the phased reopening of tertiary institutions with strict adherence to COVID-19 health protocols, with Cabinet Secretary George Magoha declaring 2020 basic education school calendar lost. Caroline Kamau reporting for Channel 1 News.
And away from matters education, let's come to the corridors of justice. A story here where a man burns daughter with iron box, and this is just a Form 2 student who is now nursing injuries on her buttocks, thighs and private parts at Bungoma County Referral Hospital after she was burned by her father using an iron box. This is a 16-year-old who was attacked by the father, who was drunk, and allegations that this the child, which is the 16-year-old, or the teen, the 16-year-old, was actually sleeping around, and this is what the father is saying, that the reason as to why he burned the child. Now, she was transferred to the hospital after developing complications while undergoing treatment at the healthcare facilities. However, the victim is still at large and being sought out by the sub-county police commander that is in Bungoma area. We hope they can be able to find the victim, at least for justice to be served on that 16-year-old girl, the teenage girl there in Bungoma County. Still on matters justice, Nights of Terror put police on the spot where this is a residence of Kocholo location in Keio South Sub-County, Elgeyo Marakwet, and they're living in fear following increased cases of police brutality that has seen at least 7 people sustain serious injuries. Now, in the past 2 weeks, officials from this specific area where the police were posted, they have been actually complaining that police have been just beating them around. And so now the 2 policemen who have been unleashing this kind of brutality on these people. They are now being sought out in this specific area. Again, also we hope that they can be able to farm, because, well, police are supposed to protect but not to be brutal to the residents, and that is what is happening on that specific area. There's also another story still on matters justice, or what is happening on the corridors of justice this Tuesday morning. And on the sidebar of a paper, hunt for woman who killed baby. This is police in Kitale now have launched a manhunt for a woman who allegedly killed and buried her 5-month-old baby in a neighbor's farm. This is a woman in Kitale did not just kill the baby but also buried her, and this is only a 5-month-old baby. This bizarre incident occurred on Sunday at Kipsagumu village in Suboti, Trans Nzoia. Police Commander Ayub Gitonga said the woman and her husband had a domestic quarrel before she strangled the baby and buried her in a shallow grave. So while this is still not any form of escape, just to say that it does not warrant the woman to kill and bury the baby just because they had a domestic quarrel with the husband. But still, again, the woman is at large, being sought out by the sub-county chief officers in Trans Nzoia County for killing a 5-month-old baby. Not just killing her, but also burying her in a neighbor's compound.
Focusing on matters justice now. Kasachun in trouble for ignorance on Emmy's deal. Now, just focusing on that, this is a story that has been captured in one of the dailies this morning, is that she signed 338 billion contracts in 2015 that were later revised upwards to 63 billion. Now, the threat to implicate ex-PS came after she failed to adequately respond to issues raised by the Senate ad hoc committee. Now, this is just a story that is ongoing, and in that particular probe, a Senate committee investigating the multi-billion shillings medical kits leasing scandal that threatened to implicate former Health Principal Secretary Khadija Kasachun. Can get more details in regard to that, as well as that is that MCS threatened to impeach Sonko and back body-led NMS. Yesterday we had a story where MPs had already members, MCAs had already started a second wave to try and impeach Nairobi County Speaker Beatrice Elachi there. Now, his wrangles in the County Assembly of Nairobi took a new turn yesterday after a section of MCAs threatened to impeach Governor Mike Sonko. Is that legal, given the current situation that we have in as far as the Nairobi County is concerned? That's a question that we're asking ourselves. Now, this comes days after 51 MCAs, both from Jubilee and ODM party, appended their signatures in a bid to impeach Speaker Beatrice Elachi for the second time. Now, however, yesterday legislators allied to Elachi said they will go after Sonko, whom they accuse of being behind the Speaker's wars. So much drama there ongoing within Nairobi County. We'll see who will carry the day. Is it going to be embattled Mike Sonko, who is still trying to wrestle back controls of Nairobi County from body-led NMS? We'll be keeping tabs. Now, blogger who put Matiang'i in ICU detained for 2 days. This is a story that caught the eye of the media and also the public on social media, where a blogger who allegedly posted on social media that Interior CS Fred Matiang'i was battling COVID-19 in a Nairobi hospital has been detained for 2 days pending investigations. If you're keen to look at, you were keenly watching President Uhuru Kenyatta's State of Address yesterday, you might have seen the CS there, Interior Fred Matiang'i, just standing behind, or rather next to the president while he was giving his address yesterday. How about we get more from the courts? As a report prepared by our very own Serafina Robe.
Isaac Kibei Tiego, who was arrested over the weekend in Geria within Uasin Gishu County, was in the docks on Monday for allegedly publishing information alleging that Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i was in hospital after testing positive for COVID-19. The prosecution had filed a miscellaneous application seeking the accused to remain in custody for 14 days, arguing that allowing him to roam freely will present him with an opportunity to interfere with investigations as police undertook forensic analysis.
he's likely to access the Twitter and Facebook accounts. And since he's the person responsible and in charge of that, as we're stating, he's likely to interfere with the evidence. As well as even the witnesses.
The defense opposed the application, saying it was infringing on the rights of the accused persons.
Person or the respondent here has the right to be released on bail or bond on reasonable conditions, Your Honor, that the court deems fit.
Chief Magistrate Martha Mutuku directed the prosecution to complete investigations within 2 days, with the accused detained at Muthaiga Police Station for 2 days.
I do find that 2 days are sufficient to complete the investigations on the nature of the charges that the respondent is likely to be charged with, and I'll only lie the application to the extent that the respondent shall be held at Muthaiga Police Station for a period of 2 days to enable the investigating officer to complete his investigations.
Meanwhile, 3 suspects accused of murdering Sheila Muruge, whose body was discovered at a flower bed in Nairobi's Kilimani area, have been released on a 50,000 shillings cash bill with an alternative bond of 100,000 shillings. 2 of the suspects, Christine Awor Oluch and Claire Chipkoech Ngeno, had earlier been released on bail, with Shim Luanga Mangula remanded for DNA profiling. The suspects will, however, be required to present themselves at the Kilimani Police Station every Monday.
With a release and reduction of bond terms.
Sheila Murugi's body was discovered on Friday, hours after she allegedly spent a night out with friends. Well, the investigating officer has now been left with a huge task of patching up evidence in relation to the gruesome murder of Sheila Murage and come up with a report in a month's time, with the mentioned date set for the 28th of August. Reporting for Skills of Justice Channel 1 News from the Milimani Law Courts, Nairobi, I'm Sarafina Robbie.
And away from the court and matters to do with justice, now we move to the counties and look at some of the stories dominating our papers when it comes to different parts of different counties actually in the country. Let's start with Kisumu County, where 2 die after sand mine caves. This is a story of 2 students who died yesterday, while 2 others narrowly escaped after a pit from which they were harvesting sand caved in. A Form 3 student at St. Alois Secondary School and his Form 4 counterpart at Dr. Olo Secondary School were said to be among the 4 who had been harvesting sand for sale at their village in Chiga, Kisumu East. But now, according to witnesses, the 2 teenagers were buried alive. It's just a story of 2 young teens who are harvesting sand to go sell them. And then again, this just brings the whole aspect of what are children doing at this time when they're having so much free time. This is just one of, one case in point where some of them have to really fend for their families, because these ones were actually selling this to fend for their families, but they just ended up dying. 2 of them died, but 2 at least were able to escape from that. Coming to Homa Bay County, hyenas kill 13 sheep and goats in that specific county, where 6 farmers in Akili and Arombe villages are now counting losses after hyenas killed 13 sheep and goats. Now, Helen, who lost 4 sheep in the attack on Saturday and on Sunday, said these hyenas have caused a serious economic drawback to her family, and not just her family, but at least a good number of residents in that specific county, just now calling on the county government to come to their aid, because this is a huge number of cattle that they have to lose because of hyenas attacking and killing their flock. Now, coming to Kakamega County, locals cry foul of a burst sewer, where now residents at risk of disease outbreak following contamination of a stream used by locals at Milimani Estate as a source of water with raw sewage. Now, despite several assurances by county officials that the broken pipes causing the leakages had been repaired, the effluent spillage is still finding its way into the stream, serving residents, including students of Masinde Muliro University. Now, what the residents are saying is that they have raised this issue many times, but it hasn't yet been addressed. And just from this article, you're seeing that it serves quite a number of residents, in as much as, yes, students are at home, university students, but just given the estates around this county, that this stream serves quite a number of them, but still spilling off sewer, saying that they have reported nothing has been done yet, calling again on the county government to come to their aid in regards to this issue.
Still focusing on stories making headlines in the counties, a report by reporter here, Farah, is that CID officers accused of shooting dead 2 people in Sokongombe in the outskirts of Garissa town on Saturday failed to appear in court. Now, the Garissa Law Courts compound was jammed as early as 8 a.m. with family members, relatives, friends and curious onlookers seeking to catch a glimpse of the suspects. Here's the report.
Na hiyo iliwaleta mpaka inawaleta mchana. Naona wakifanya.
The killing sparked demonstrations for the better part of Saturday and Sunday, with several shops being looted during the melee. Aden Abdi Madobe and Muhyiddin Adov Shibin were shot and killed on the spot by CID officers who were dispersing a crowd that was protesting the arrest of a murder suspect. It is reported security concerns could be behind the failure to present them in court. Northeastern Regional Commissioner Nicodemus Ndalana assured the family and the community members that investigations will be carried out and justice will be served.